Welcome, pool guys and gals, to the Let's Talk About Pools podcast, where your host, Lauren Broom, will take a splash into many topics in the pool industry to educate all aquatic professionals. Listen in, and you just might be surprised what you'll learn. So let's jump right in.
Welcome, everybody, today to the Let's Talk About Pools podcast. And on episode 65, I interviewed Tiffiny Consoli, who is the first franchisee for Pool Scouts. And we talked about her awesome success that she's had as the first franchisee with this awesome company. So this is a great conversation starter for those of you that are entering the industry and deciding if you want to start from scratch and build your own business, which there's nothing wrong with that, or if you want the support and structure of when you buy a franchise through a company like Pool Scouts. So we have this awesome conversation. Plus, she tells us all about the great success that she has had in the pool industry since she's entered it. It was a wonderful conversation. I look forward to sharing with you guys, my listeners. I want to say thank you to my strategic podcast sponsor, as always, Skimmer. Thank you, Nikki Acosta, and all of you over there for supporting the podcast. It's awesome. And I hope that you guys enjoy this episode. Let's jump right in.
This episode is brought to you by Skimmer, the #1 pool service software in North America. With Skimmer, you can streamline your schedule, grow your revenue, and keep your customers coming back with 5-star service. Whether you're a one-person operation or an established team, Skimmer is your partner in success. Join the 30,000 plus pool pros upgrading their business. Visit getskimmer.com/Lauren Broom to try Skimmer for free for 30 days.
Welcome, everybody, today to the Let's Talk About Pools podcast. And on my episode today, I have Tiffiny Consoli, who is the first franchisee for Pool Scouts that started back in 2016. So we're going to talk to her about how she's grown her business, where she came from, and where she's going. So, and this will be really interesting episode for those of you that are interested in maybe having a Pool Scouts franchise in your area. So she can talk about that quite a bit since she's the first one that did it. Mm-hmm. So welcome, Tiffiny. How are you?
Thanks, Lauren. Doing great. Thanks for having me today.
Oh, I'm so excited to have you on. It's nice for people to hear how somebody came into the industry and started their business and how they, can be successful like you, because you're like very, very successful with this Pool Scouts franchise that you've done in North Carolina. So tell us a little bit first about how you got into the industry, or where were you before you came in as a franchisee?
Yeah, so I started out, prior to Pool Scouts, I was in retail for 13 years. So I was a store manager at a few different stores, a few different locations, also did a stint in HR. And so I felt like I had a really strong background in kind of running my own store. And I was just getting a little bit tired of the retail hours, the weekends, the nights, the holidays, and just kind of always having to be there. But I loved customer service. I loved running a store. I just kept feeling like I wanted to have my own business. And I felt like all the skills that I had learned in that job were very transferable to running my own business. So that's kind of where it started. I started looking. I looked at all kinds of things, vending machines. You name it, just different ideas. Some of them were far-fetched and maybe some of them a little bit more realistic, but I ended up looking at franchises and came across Buzz Franchise Brands, who is our franchisor. Met with them about one of their brands at the time, and that didn't work out, but I kept my eye out on them. And a year later, they started the Pool Scouts brand. And I knew I wanted something outdoor related, and I wanted to be in the service industry. And so this sounded fantastic to me. So I called them right away. Actually I saw Kevin, who owns BFB, he had posted something on LinkedIn. So I saw it there and called the next day. And I was the very first person to come in and walk through the door for them. And it was a good match. We met, we talked about what they had envisioned for the brand and what they wanted to do differently in the industry. And I thought, man, cleaning pools, how hard can that be? And so I went for it. And yeah, that's how I got to where I am today.
And you sound like you really enjoy this decision that you made, where you made that slight, turn in your life and your career. And
Yeah,
it is fun owning your own business, and there's something that you get out of it that's very fulfilling, that it's
yeah.
you get what you put into it and that kind of thing. I agree, being a the small business owner as well.
Yeah, and I know you probably can relate. There's challenges, of course, and it's not all, roses all the time, but there's a lot of ups and downs. But like you said, it's just so rewarding at the end of the day when you've built something.
Right. It's not just a job that you go to that you get a paycheck, but you're working for somebody else and you got a boss down and you got to fulfill what they want for their company. When you have your own company and you kind of, put in so much sweat and hard work to
Yeah.
get where you want your business to be, what you make is what you put into it, I think. And I think that's true when you own your own business.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's all on you, right? To make it what it is. So,
And I
yeah.
agree. I have the same
Yeah.
same perspective that it's not all roses. So we don't want people to
Right.
think that there isn't any hard times, especially
Right.
with customer service and that kind of thing. You've always got a customer that's going to come in and, I get them as well and like, want a full refund for something. You're like, no, that's not how that's going to work. And,
That's
they're being not realistic at that
that.
point and the
Yeah.
things that they're asking. So, I completely can relate to you just in general on that statement.
Yeah.
So, what drew you to the brand of Pool Scouts? And did you ever imagine that your business would surpass, the 3 million in annual sales that you guys have done?
Yeah, so I'll start with what attracted me to Pool Scouts and then talk a little bit about our recent goals and accomplishments. But I mentioned Buzz Franchise Brands just really buying into the franchisor and everything that they had to offer. I really loved the people there and just connected with them very well. So I believed in what they were offering and how they could support me to be successful. And then the second was just a service business. I'm so passionate about customer service. And so I knew that I wanted to be in a service business. And then it helped that it was an outdoor business, but also seasonal. So we still have customers through the winter, but we get a little bit of a break. So it's nice. You get to kind of recharge in the winter and get ready for the next season because it,
And
it does.
you're located in North Carolina.
Yes, we're in Raleigh, in the Raleigh area. So we're servicing the Greater Triangle area.
So you're
So
getting that little break, whereas like I'm down in Florida and our pool pros down here, they're not a break ever. It's like
no.
going every residential pool is every week, year round. I mean, it slows down a little bit on like, what's going on exactly, because the cooler weather definitely helps, slow down the service a little bit and make it a
Yeah,
little bit easier. The summer's always fun. That's when we start getting our algae blooms and everything.
that's right. Get a few more challenges in the summer.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, as far as, hitting the 3 million mark, I think, it's hard to see in the beginning when you're first starting out. There's so many challenges to it and you're just in the grind day to day. But you set goals and you work the plan. And before you know it, you're starting to build something. And I do remember sitting down with our president probably about on year three or four, and we created a 5-year plan, and we are right on track with that plan. So we kind of set those revenue goals for each year, and we've just been working towards it, and that's really a testament to what we're doing every day in the business, what our employees are doing with our customers and delivering that great service and building the brand and the name for ourselves and not being afraid to take chances and make investments to help us grow.
And that's something that every business should think of and set goals and have a business plan and that kind of thing. And that sounds like as a franchisee, you kind of get that help and assistance from the main brand of Pool Scouts, which is awesome because, like you said, you weren't ever an owner of a pool service company before. You came from a totally different area. So it's really given you that ability with having that help and you can sit down and actually meet with somebody that can help you get to your goals at that point, which is really awesome for somebody entering the industry for the first time.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a big fan of franchising or being a part of a franchise. And like you said, I really didn't know much about pools going into this. And so they provided a lot of training and support. So if you have a really good brand behind you, they give you the structure to be successful. And that's what happened for me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what were the key steps that you took to grow your business from the beginning in 2016 to the success that you have today?
Yeah, so I touched on it a little bit earlier, and just talking about setting those yearly goals and then also budgets every year so that you have something that you're working at, a daily plan. Um, I feel like some new business owners don't realize that you kind of have to be in the weeds the first few years. You got to be in the business. But at the same time, you don't want to stay in the business. You want to get to a place where you're on top of the business and you have those big picture views and goals. But in the beginning, it's important to understand what's happening at the ground level. And so I talk about being in the weeds and then being determined to succeed because you will run into challenges. There's going to be things that are going to surprise you that come your way. They're going to set you back, but be determined in that. And then make investments in your future growth. So hire more people, having a backup plan. Lauren, creating a culture for your company is so important. And so we realized that very early on. We needed to have core values that we live by, create a culture where people want to work here and like working here, and then work a way up to where we could offer benefits along the way. And so we kept increasing the things that we could offer to them, whether it be vacation or health insurance or even 401(k). So those things helped us as we were able to put more things in place as we continued to grow. We could put more things in place to help support our employees. That helped us keep them longer and makes it a more attractive place to work.
And that's so important, especially right now, right? That whole keeping your employees longer. We were just talking off podcast,
Yes,
about, employees are an investment for a place of employment. And so you don't want them to come in, you kind of get them trained and then they leave and move on.
that's
And you
right.
lose that information that you've, given them at that point. And,
Yeah,
and so it's the benefits, but it's also thinking of an employee again as an investment and keep finding ways to keep them because you don't want to have to keep training people over and over and over. So our industry really struggles and they really need to find ways that they
mhm,
can really keep these very well trained, very motivated staff that are going to be, coming into work and they're so thrilled to be there and they want to come do that job for you and do a good job at the same time, not just coming and go, oh my God, this is just another job.
right.
Right. And so
That's right.
you talked and hit on some of those key points of trying to keep employment. And that has been a difficult thing for our industry and many industries in general since COVID kind of started and then left.
Yeah,
We're still in this weird place of employment that we haven't gone back to the way it was. So
yeah.
thank you for hitting on that because that was very important. Keeping the employees and long term, think long term, longer than 5 years. If you can get, 10 years, get them to retire from you, the longer you keep, the more information they have. It's valuable, isn't it? The
It
information
is.
that they carry, you could go on vacation and they could still that's how you got to look at. Can that employee be able to do their job without you having to be there and you're gone for a week or two on vacation as the owner? You know,
That's right.
that's how you got to think of an employee because if you're keeping churning out and having new employees constantly, you're never going to be able to really be able to leave that business to go on vacation or do anything else. So it's
Yep.
giving them almost an autonomy that they have enough knowledge that they can make decisions while you're not there. And not
That's
have to go, hey, I'm bothering you while you're in Hawaii. I'm sorry,
right.
and that's something
Yeah.
that you should be able to, leave and not have to get all those phone calls constantly, right?
Absolutely. I think, business owners don't have a lot of work-life balance. And so it's important that you, as you grow your business, you are planning for yourself to be able to be away at times. You need that to be away, to be able to recharge, spend time with your family, whatever it is. And so you're exactly right. You got to keep people, longer so that they can learn the business and one day, hopefully run the business.
Right. And the best way is to make them feel valuable in some way. And it's benefits, it's health insurance, all those key things that you hit on,
Right.
vacation time, that's important to them. And then also, having the ability to move up in a company where they don't feel like they're just flatline where they're at. Some employees are fine there and some want to have that feel that you are okay with them wanting to grow and getting educated and keep growing in the business. And that's an important key thing, I think, because some employees, they feel like they're flatlined for years. They're going to start looking for a job where they can grow somewhere else. And that's not
Yeah.
going to help you because you put so much time into that training that employee. So
Yeah.
we've hit some good points here. I know we're off our what we were going to talk about, but I thought that was a good, important thing that you brought up that you guys are doing, which other people can learn from as well. So can you share a real good standout moment or like turning point in your journey that made you realize you were on the right path to building something really special with your business?
So I thought about this a lot, and it's funny that you mentioned COVID because that was a really sort of pivotal year for us. We were deemed an essential business, and our while everybody else was struggling that year, our business was booming and we were growing. We took on a lot of new customers, and all of our customers wanted to get their pools opened earlier and ready to swim earlier because everyone was home, and so they wanted to be in their backyards. And so that year we had a significant amount of growth, but also had the challenges of working through all of what COVID brought, less supplies, more expensive to get product. It took longer. We were, nervous we weren't going to have chlorine for pools, things like that. It was harder time to find people for hiring people. Um, but that was the year that we hit nearly 1 million. I think we came in at 950,000. And when we made it through that year, I realized at that point, hey, if we can get through a year like this and the challenges that we have and grow our business the way we did, that we really had something special and that we were on our way to gain to getting to the goals that we had set out for ourselves. So I really feel like that was for me like the moment of, okay, we've got a good thing going here and we can keep it going.
And I've heard that same kind of idea from a lot of people that I've talked to in the industry. That year really changed things for the pool industry. And we were an essential industry because I mean, if you talk to a health agency inspector, they're like, the last thing we need on top of COVID that we're working is a recreational water illness outbreak. We don't need
Absolutely.
all these outbreaks to occur on top of this pandemic that they were trying to work at the same time,
Yep.
because that's where I came from. And I worked the first 5 months of COVID. I knew that you guys were an essential workforce that needed to be, and the reasons why,
Right.
that background why, because we didn't want people to get sick from crypto
Right.
or any of those other lovely RWIs, right?
Yeah, it made sense. People were using their pools more than ever. And they needed to be outside, right? We needed to get people outside. So yeah, it did make
It made
sense.
complete sense.
Yeah.
So this question I'm going to ask it, because I'm a female business owner as well. So being a fellow woman in a male-dominated industry, there's not a lot of female instructors or podcast run podcasts in this industry. So as a woman in a male-dominated industry, what were some of those unique challenges that you faced, and how did you overcome those? And I might be able to relate to a lot of these with you.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to compare our experiences here, but I get this question a lot, and it's somewhat hard to answer, but also it's not. I mean, I had so much support from the men and the women in this industry when I started out. I didn't know anything about pools really. I mean, just, your basic pool knowledge, and I had to learn everything. And I never felt like people weren't willing to help. And so I think from our distributors, pool builders that I met, anyone else in the industry, when I walked into a lot, just knocked on a lot of doors, walked into a lot of businesses and to introduce myself, and people were genuinely really nice. And, I felt like supportive, wanted to send us business if they could. They were looking for a business that was going to stand by their word, that was going to show up when they say that they are. And so I think it was the relationship building that really helped me in this male-dominated industry. I think the challenges were more really with male employees. We have a mostly male staff, which is great. I love working with our team, but I think at times there were some maybe employees that weren't used to having a female boss, especially in this industry. And there might have been challenges with giving coaching and feedback and things like that. But overall, my experience in this industry has just been really, really, I mean, for the most part, um, very inclusive and very supportive.
Yes, everything you said is how I feel. There's a lot of good networking in the industry, and there's a lot of respect for all of us in the industry, male and female. So I feel that just like you do. And having that ability to network, going to conferences and that kind of thing has really helped a lot, with that kind of thing. So that was lovely to hear.
Yeah.
So, franchising people, kind of get nervous about that word. I don't know why, but franchising offers, that structured way to enter business ownership if you don't really know how you're going to get into this industry. So, what advice do you have for someone considering franchising, especially in the pool industry?
I, th you know, the franchise is going to offer you, like I've mentioned before, a lot of structure and support. And so I think you have to go into it open and to working the plan that they set out for you. So not only do you have to create your own goals and, you're responsible for the success of your business at the end of the day, but they will provide you a path for success. And so if you follow the plan, I think that you can be successful with any franchise. They're not out there. They want their franchisees to be successful. That helps them as well. So obviously, so they need us to do well. They're going to provide the support to help you get there. If they're not a good franchise. Um, and so I would just always say make sure that you work the plan, but also understand that you own that business at the end of the day, and it's up to you also to make it successful. They can't do it for you, but they can give you a lot of support to make it happen.
Right. As we said earlier, you get what you put into your business. And so having that plan and know what your goals are by end of year. And if you didn't meet them, how can you meet them the following year? And
Yeah,
always trying to make improvements and that kind of thing. And I think that's important. The important part that's different from just starting your own pool service business and you've never been in the industry before, to having a franchise option is that you're getting that support in an area that you don't really know what you're doing when you're walking into it. So the business model set up, you get help with the training and the education and how to set up it's all, what do I do with the money, as
yeah,
a business? And so you probably get a lot of coaching and help so that you're successful. Because, like you said, if you're successful, it helps Pool Scouts as a brand as well. So
that's
they're
right.
going to want to give you everything that you can in the coaching sense to make you successful because it makes them successful. And that's an important support structure that you have talked about throughout the podcast already.
Yeah, yep, absolutely.
So what makes the home services sector and Pool Scout specifically such a good opportunity for aspiring business owners that want to join in this space?
What I liked the most coming into this was that it was a recurring services model, recurring revenue model. And so you can really count on that, year after year. The idea is to gain customers and hopefully keep them for 10 years. That's been always been my motto. It's like, let's have a 10-year relationship at least with these customers. So that recurring revenue model is really great in this business of pool maintenance and cleaning. And then I also love that it's a semi-seasonal for us in Raleigh. It's like you said, it's not in Florida, but there are downtimes, I think, wherever you are. But for us, I like the semi-seasonality of it in the winter, December, January, February. It's a little bit slower. We get to recharge and get ready for the next year because it gets crazy in March, April, and May. Uh, but
Reopening time.
yeah, that's right, exactly. Um, and then, I think just building a customer base, this service model provides the ability to build a customer base. And with that customer base, it gives you the chances or the opportunity to offer more services later on. So the more customers you have under your belt, and the more recurring revenue you have coming in, it will provide you the opportunity to offer more services or different services later on. So you can continue to grow your business in different ways. We're doing a lot of repair services now, replacing vinyl liners, doing pool equipment repair, safety cover installs. So whatever, we can learn and do to grow our business, we're in a great position to do that now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So how do you balance, maintaining a high growth business, which we've talked about already, with upholding your customer service standards that you've contributed, to your success? And I know you have that large customer service background from previous experiences in your life. So let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so I stole from my retail days. We used to have a daily huddle, and I stole that idea and I brought it to Pool Scouts, and I've had a daily huddle every day since we started the business. Even when I only had one or two technicians, we met in the morning. We went over all of our customers for the day together, and we did that. I did that for it's probably 7 years. Last year was the first year where in the winter we went to a once a week huddle. But in the summer, between March and December, or yeah, March and December, we do a huddle every single day. And so that's our time, our chance to meet with everybody, set the tone for the day, go over anything that might have come up about customers, challenges that they've had or challenges we're having in ensuring that they're getting great service, things that we're running into that maybe we're forgetting to do and need to remember to do, or things we could do better. And so it's our time to get together. When in our business, when the day starts, we have 19 vehicles going out in 19 different directions. We don't see each other throughout the day. So that 5 or 10 minutes that we spend together is really important for connection and teamwork. So that's one way that we've tried to help maintain our customer service through the years. The other way is Pool Scouts has a set of standard service expectations that all franchisees are expected to follow. And so we have that hanging on our wall, and we review that periodically with our staff and with any new employees coming in. And it does help to provide consistency across the board. And I like we talk about a lot in our company is we're really only as good as the last service we delivered. So sometimes our technicians aren't always at the same pool, and they're relying on that technician that came in last week to have done a great job. If they don't, then that makes it harder for the technician that's there, but it also gives the customer the the idea that maybe we're not consistent or we're not as good as we want to be. And so we talk about consistency a lot as well and how important that is.
I think consistency is an important one, communication, which is why you're doing your huddles in the morning. That
Yes.
communication that you're having within your business with everybody, you know.
Yep.
So that's excellent to pass on to those that are in the industry and either start thinking about starting a business or joining and building a franchise because there's not a Pool Scouts franchise in their area. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
So building a strong team is key to scaling any business, and we've talked about that already. what strategies have you used to foster that positive team culture within your Pool Scouts franchise?
So I think it starts with just, this seems so basic, but just really care and respect for each other. And understanding that everybody who works for us, who comes through these doors, they all have come from a different background. They all have some other reason for being here. Whether it's not always just a paycheck. There's reasons why they're in this industry, why they're doing this job. And so I really just try to approach everybody that way. And I think that we generally in our office, that is something that's contagious and that we, generally care and respect for each other. And when you have that, then I think it's easier to have hard conversations when you need to, um, and things like that. So, um, as far as scaling the business, you have to have great people in place. And so one of my mottos has been to hire slow and fire fast. So it takes time to find the right people. We are always hiring. We always have an ad out. We're always bringing people in. So as we find somebody who's really good, we bring them in. And that means that we don't have to hold on to people who maybe this isn't the right fit for them or for us, and we can let them go sooner. So I think that that's helped us grow too, is just being able to continuously look for great people to join our team.
And then hold on to them.
That's right. That
Gotta
is the
hold on
challenge.
to them.
Yeah, and that's in this industry, it's hard. It is. You were talking about that 5-year employee, and we're lucky if we get that. We have that more in our management and office personnel, but we're working hard to keep our technicians for, 2, 3, 5 years. That's great. We have a couple that I think have been with us 6 years now, but that's always something that's a goal of ours,
Yeah.
is keeping them as long as we can.
Yeah, definitely. So what qualities do you look
Yeah.
for in your team members when you're hiring, and how do you empower them to deliver exceptional service? And we kind of talked about this, but let's bring it back a little bit.
Okay. I think as far as look, attributes, it's got to be somebody who wants to work hard. It's a hard job. It's not easy. It's very physical. So they have to want to work hard, but they also have to have critical thinking skills in the pool industry. You have to be able to go in and figure out maybe what's going on with the pool chemistry, with the water, maybe what's going on with the pool equipment, thinking through problems and issues that might be happening. Every backyard is different. So it has to be someone who really likes something different every day, and thrives in that environment. There are people out there that want the same thing every day, know what to expect. And in this business, you don't know what's going to happen each day. So someone very flexible, yeah, wants to work hard, is passionate about people and customers, and wants to build relationships. I think that's really important too, is that they're not afraid to knock on the door, not afraid to talk to people when they need to.
Yep, communication. That's always a big thing.
We keep coming back to that, don't we?
Yes, you can't be on your phones, and it's not just about texting and emailing and all that stuff. It's about talking to the customer, talking to your boss, talking to your coworkers, like
Yeah.
real people do,
Yes,
like we used to, right?
that's right.
Those cell phones don't really foster those things because you can't tell how somebody says something
I
when they're
know.
saying it, and customers will have no idea and they may take it a wrong way. So it's always important, and that fosters a lot more of that personability. I always say personability with your business is important,
Yes.
that they know your people just
Yep.
like they are. And that makes them feel like, even though they're your customer, that you care about them. There's just that feel of care, I think, that the customer will feel with that
Yep.
personability when you run a business. So,
I agree. I think there's also the aspect of trust too, right? When you get to know people and they see you and you know their name, and you form conversations with them, they just trust you more.
yeah, I
So,
totally agree with you. And that's how I kind of run my business as well. I try to be that way. And I'm constantly getting, people that I don't know, and they're all over the country. And so, the depends on your business and how much you can do that. What are the possibilities, right?
that's great. Yeah.
So, who or what has been your biggest inspiration as an entrepreneur?
Hmm. So I don't know if there's been one person, so to speak. I think I've been inspired to be successful, maybe from my family background, my parents. I've had, successful people in my family, aunts and uncles, and I think that's always been an inspiration is to want to do good. Um, and I'd say maybe even for me, it's somewhat of a fear of failure, like not wanting to fail, as inspires me to come in and be successful every day and make sure that we are successful. So I think, and then just maybe just to build something of my own is has been an inspiration, and then of course. I get inspiration every day from the people that I work with. I love our technicians. I love our office people. It's just so nice to come in and be part of this team and this culture where we all really want for Pool Scouts to be successful. And so that's a daily inspiration, I think, for me.
You feel like you have fulfillment from what you're doing. It's
Absolutely.
something important to come in every day and like what you do too, right?
Yes.
And
Yes, it
enjoy
is.
it. That's a big inspiration too, just knowing like this is my business that I've built up,
Right.
and as we're coming back to it again, I get what I put into it. And you
That's right.
sound like you put a lot into it because of the care for your customers, for your staff members
Yeah.
that work for you as well. It's not just taking care of the customers. You're also sound like, and you've talked about how important your employees are and your management staff and your office staff. Like everybody has an integral part in making your business successful. It's not just you. You have to have the other people, and they're an important part of it as well. And you foster that within your business personally.
Absolutely. Yeah, you nailed it on the head. It's not just me. This is a team of people that we rely on every day. And so couldn't do it without them.
Yep, I
Yeah.
agree. So
Yeah.
if you could give one piece of advice to someone that's just starting their business journey, what would it be?
So when I started this business, I had this inner voice all the time, just saying, go for it, do this. This is what I wanted to do. I had this drive to do it. And I think you really have to listen to that inner voice. Um, and follow it. Just follow what it's telling you, go for it. And then like I said earlier, have determination and be tenacious because you're going to need it at times. And be prepared for challenges and ready to take action because you're going to have challenges that come your way. And so just be ready for that and be ready to take action and use that as learning experiences for how you're going to do better going forward.
You just nailed that right there because
Yeah.
being a business owner myself, there is going to be a time that you're going to fail.
Yep.
There's going to be something. Hopefully, it's a small failure that's not going to collapse your entire business, but you learn from the failure so that you don't make the same mistake again. And so you move forward as well. So the two key things is identifying that you will fail somewhere along the way. How do
That's
you fix it? And how do you move forward, learning from it, but not dwelling on it the whole time and making your business better from the mistakes that you make? And
absolutely.
owning up to it because it does happen, it's when people try to do the wrong thing or lie, and
Yeah.
that's not something I feel is coming from you guys over at Pool Scouts at all. You
No.
guys understand that business, you make a bad decision sometimes, it costs you some money, but
That's
you
right.
can move forward from it, right, Tiffany?
That's right. You can.
And
Yep.
I've done it. I was like, oh man, only a couple $1,000s, but it was still a lot for me as a
Yeah.
business that I'm like, I don't want to make that mistake again. So I'm making different decisions on that type of thing now at this point. So
Absolutely. And it gives you the opportunity to make it right also, right? So if you can make it right with that customer, that builds trust and it builds your brand.
right.
Because people know that you're going to stand by what you say.
It builds honesty as well. You're honest with yourself and your staff and your customers. And that honesty is, I think that customers do realize that sometimes bad things do happen, decisions, maybe you hired the wrong team member and they're
Right.
not taking care of their route very well. And you have customers that,
Yep.
but they may stick with you because you're going to realize as the owner, this wasn't a good, and you said you cycled people that this is not a good fit for. So there you go. You've learned, but some people don't learn that right away or don't
Right.
know to do that. You probably have previous experiences where that's an example of making that decision. It's not an easy decision to say, hey, we got to let you go. You're not a good fit. We've had customer complaints and that kind of thing, but you've got to do right by your customers and for
Yeah.
yourself and your business as well.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
and not a particular job that somebody goes into doesn't always mean that that job is what they were meant for, what they were
That's right.
meant to do. And
Yep.
so it's the same thing as like when I educate and I teach certification courses, not everybody's going to get certified. Not everybody 100% is going to pass the certification exam. Some people are just not a good fit for this industry, but they're
Yeah.
going to be great somewhere else. They just
That's
have
right.
to they have
Yeah.
to find their calling like you did with your Pool Scouts
That's right.
franchise here and be successful just like you. You can take a lot of what we talked about in this podcast episode and really apply it in any business that you're going to run, really,
I
right?
agree. Yes.
It makes you
Yeah.
successful.
Right.
All
Yeah.
right, so looking ahead, what are your goals for the future for your Pool Scouts location there in North Carolina, and how do you plan to continue innovating in this industry?
All right. That's a big question. So
It is.
we um we hit a milestone this year, and so now we have new revenue goals that are in view. I think 5 million is, potential for us, and um, something that we probably maybe the next big number to strive for. That's going to mean that we have to continue delivering great service, but also build out a suite of more services and be good at them, right? So as we continue to grow, the services that we're offering, we also need to get good at them like we are with pool cleaning and maintenance. Innovation, I think, in this industry is it's really it's really sort of off the charts. It's moving fast and furious. And if we don't keep up with it, we're going to get left behind. And so that's something that I actually worry about a little bit, I think, in terms of making sure that we do know what's coming up ahead and that we're trained on what it is and that we can apply it to our customer base. So a lot of the manufacturers are making really cool products that are matching the technology that we're seeing in other industries today. A lot of automation that we have to learn. We're becoming much more technical as a field and an industry. And so we've got to do our job to stay on top of that and make sure we don't fall behind. And that's just going to mean more training for our technicians and for our whole team, and really staying connected with those manufacturers too to see what's coming out and understand what can make the customer's life even better, even easier as it pertains to the pool. So we're delivering a great service, but they can even enjoy more aspects of their pool from an automation standpoint and technology standpoint. We want to be able to provide that for them.
Yeah, you're able to do a lot more on your cell phone now, and it's very easy for customers. So you have to train the customer on how to handle
Yeah,
that. So that I agree, that's a big thing. I just came back from the International Pool and Spa Show in Dallas,
nice.
and when you walk the trade show, you always see the new innovations, new technology out there on the trade show floor. It's exciting to talk to the different manufacturers and stuff out there and see what cool ideas are coming out,
I know.
So it's
Yeah.
really neat. I agree. Our industry is moving very quickly, more than it was
Yes.
like before COVID and that kind of thing. It's just like everybody's
It is.
coming up with just awesome ideas, awesome education and training and everything out there. So
I, I know it's going to look very different, I think, in the next 5 to
it's
10 years.
different than it was 10 years ago, or even when
Right.
I entered it almost 20 years ago. I mean, the education is different, a lot more hands-on training that they're realizing that they need to offer on all the new equipment and that kind of thing as well. So, uh,
Yeah.
plenty of awesome things coming up on the horizon. So, do you have any final thoughts before we're done talking today? Because it's
It's
been
been a
fun.
Pleasure. No, I think it's been a pleasure talking to you and sharing some of our experiences. And I can't think of anything else. I feel like we covered quite a bit as it pertains to business ownership and especially in the pool industry.
Yeah, it's very unique. We have a very unique industry.
We
So
do. Yeah.
love talking to you today, Tiffany. Thank you for being on the podcast today. And if anybody's interested in a franchise with Pool Scouts, where can they find that information at, by the way?
Well, our website is poolscouts.com/triangle. But you can also go to poolscouts.com and all of our areas and locations would be listed there as well. But everything, all of our services that we offer can be found there. We also have Facebook pages and, look us up online and get our phone numbers to call directly.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time today,
Yeah.
Tiffany.
Thank you, Lauren. I really appreciate the opportunity.
It was my pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks for diving in today with the Let's Talk About Pools podcast. Be sure to follow us on our YouTube channel or our Facebook page. And feel free to rate, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you listen to your podcasts so more aquatic professionals like you can learn about the show. We appreciate it, and we'll catch you in the next episode of the Let's Talk About Pools podcast.